everybody, this is John for Arena Nexus MTG coming at you with some more Explore content. This time we're trying some best of 3 Enigmatic Fires deck in the Explore format. If you like these informative Explorer-based videos, please consider subscribing to the channel, giving us a thumbs up, leaving a constructive comment down below. Now on our sister channel, Pioneer Nexus MTG, someone asked me to take a look at the Enigmatic Incarnation Fires of Invention deck and how it performs in the Pioneer format. Now admittedly there is some information out there on it, but it really doesn't feel like there's enough to draw a conclusion of the deck based on what people play of it in the Pioneer format. So I found a reasonable deck list I like in the Explorer format to try out in today's video. Mainly, I changed one slot in the sideboard because of the nature of the deck and the wildcards I have available to me, but we'll talk about that in a minute. This is a deck that tries to pair a bunch of enchantments with an Enigmatic Incarnation, Fires of Invention, to basically turn your enchantments into various utility creatures. A lot of this is done for value, and most of the times it's obviously in a Yorion-based shell. These are decks that are a little bit slow to get going and are a little bit vulnerable to the aggressive decks. As you can see, there isn't no plays on 1 and very few plays on 2. You're really not getting started the game until turn 3, which often means you're a little bit slow. Plus you're playing a bunch of tap lands because, when you're playing in a format like Pioneer with no fetch lands and playing a 5-color deck, you gotta try to spread out the wealth a little bit, and you're taking a little bit of hit in that regard. This is a deck that is designed to kind of go over the top of the Rakdos-based decks while having a reasonable game against something like Mono Green Devotion, which really doesn't see a ton of play in, obviously, the Explorer-based format. Beyond that, you're playing some early value enchantments, things like Trial of Ambition, Omen of the Sea, Urban Utopia to fix your mana. Just these different early value plays, Spirited Companion to draw a card, and then you're starting to do things like Fable the Mirror Breaker. Basically every powerful enchantment you're seeing play here. Fires of Invention allow you to get ahead on mana plays, since you're obviously not much of a flash deck anyway. And Enigmatic Incarnation allows you to sack all these different enchantments. And one of the new additions to the deck is Leyline of Binding, or Leyline Binding, not Leyline of Binding, which often is a 2 or 3 mana removal spell in this deck, allowing you to remove a problematic opponent's permanent, and is a nice way to kind of branch into your powerful 2 and 3 or 7 mana plays here. Sacking this to go get an Ancient Treachery or a Titan of Ministry. As far as your creature choices, you have things like Aether Chronicler here to draw a card or return a permanent to its owner's hand. Moon-Blessed Cleric when you need to search for an enchantment to put it on top of your library to keep the train rolling. Skyclave Apparition is a removal spell. Glasspool Mimic to copy your various creatures that you have into play. Deputy of Detention, another removal spell. Gloomshrieker, a way to recur things that are in the graveyard. Night of Autumn, nice utility thing, blowing things up, getting a little bit of land. Renegade Rallier, nice way to rebuy your 2 mana enchantments. Zora is kind of this enchantments you control have Death Touch, Lifelink, and Hexproof. You can turn your enchantments into threats on their own. Siege Rhino is a way to recoup a little bit of life and put a beefy body into play. Thassa to get a bunch of value off for different things to blink. Tolsimir, nice anti-aggression card. Scarab God when you're getting into these attrition-based fights are quite nice. Then one of Yorion in the main deck, in addition to the one to get blink of all your different enchantments and ETB creatures. Sideboard. Destiny Spinner, whenever you're facing any type of counterspell deck, so basically mono blue and blue-white control. Nimble Lostness as a way to disrupt opponents' combo decks or control decks. Yusharn, very good against any type of the Rakdos Sac decks. Coma, very good against the various control decks in the format. Rest in Peace, primarily here for Greasefang in this format, as there isn't a whole lot of Izzet-based decks. 3 copies of Fry, once again, also primarily here for Greasefang, also reasonable against blue-white X control. And then the one card I changed, and the mana may not support this, so I guess we'll find out, is Meathook Massacre for Supreme Verdict. While I do like Supreme Verdict, I don't currently own the cards, and I do happen to own Meathook Massacre just from playing a bunch of things. So we may have to adjust the mana for that to make that a reasonable thing. But, that is a reasonable thing against mono red and stuff. Buy you a little bit of time, gain a little bit of life, and see how the deck does. So that overall, let's see how we'll jump into the queue and see how this deck does in best of 3. Here for match number 1, we're on the play. As you can see, the mana is quite awkward, but we do have a turn 3 Fable the Mirror Breaker and Incarnation, so I'm not going to pass this up. I need to lead on the red one to be able to cast Fable the Mirror Breaker potentially. But, as I said, we're very vulnerable to quick, aggressive, or combo starts, especially in game number 1. Which does not look like we're up against, so... Might be up against Rakdos. I have no idea. Yep, we're going to Thoughtseize. They'll probably take our Fable here because it's the only card that kind of matters. May also take one of our Incarnations. I do think we're supposed to take Fable in this spot. Opponent obviously agrees. Let's play this and buy Yorion. No reason not to, since our opponent's applying absolutely no pressure. Fable is kind of weird in Rakdos though, so not quite sure why they're running that. But Tenacious Underdog. It's a good way to get rid of Tenacious Underdog, and at worst they get a 2/2 back. You know, which is, you know, annoying, but it's also kind of whatever. It's like our opponent's just going to kill us at the end of turn. Play an Incarnation, which we can't even cast right now. Opponent kills it, get a 2/2. Possibly with another Thoughtseize or a... Okay, so they finally do have a quasi-threat here. Go and grab a 5-mana play here. Need to grab Tolsimir. Now, if they don't remove Tolsimir, we can just blink it next turn. Another mountain, very awkward for our opponent here. And they agree. We know that we want to sideboard anything against them. Is Yasharn even relevant? They don't really sack all that much. Meat Hook could be relevant, especially on the draw. One of our cards is actually bad. Deputy isn't the best against them, obviously. Either Skyclave, but it is removal. Meat Hook would need to get to 2 or 3. Maybe we'll try one Meat Hook and go down like Deputy of Detention. But like I said, this is kind of the matchup you want to be paired against a lot of the times. Because you're kind of a go over the top deck of what they're doing. Now that said, they do have aggressive starts that can like kind of run you into the ground, so it is something to be aware of. It's a little bit awkward, but I do think we keep it. Oh, it's the owl. Okay. No, turn 1 Thoughtseize. I'm almost insulted. Put with the Blood Tithe Harvester. Put with Liliana would be annoying. Yep. What do we even pitch here? I guess we pitch But didn't pitch anything last turn, so I'm not sure if they are going to actually do anything. Pitch a Fatal Push, which is really bad in this matchup. And their opponent scoops it up. Like I said, Rakdos has a bit of a rough time against what we're trying to accomplish. Back here for match 2 on the play. A little bit of an awkward hand against a Giganta deck, but we'll try it out. Get this out there, draw a card. Let's go ahead and Travel Ambition, our opponent's first play. Get a better idea of what our opponent's up to here. They pitch nothing. Okay. Okay, into what? Deadly Dispute? Nixilis, that's mildly annoying. Of course, they have Claim the Firstborn, which normally isn't remotely good against us, but it is what it is. Okay, so we could do a lot of things here. Mm-hmm. So we could go get Agent of Treachery. We could go get Yorion. Could go get Siege Rhino to give us a little bit of a life buffer. Stabilize the board a little bit. That is 3 or less, correct. We're going to fire up their lands and get in. They have Neville into Croxa. Probably gets to ping us for 1 here. It does get to escape their Croxa here, which is mildly annoying. Ping us for 2 here. Sacrifice this. Gonna grab enchantment. Could I put on top of my deck? Possible I should have just gotten Renegade Rallier, but I think our opponent's going to be escaping Crocs of this turn, so it wouldn't have done a ton of good for us to draw a card. Puts us to 8. Titan of Industry. Gain some life. Blow up that. I don't think you have any terribly positive attacks here, friend. Feels like a last desperate attack. Hopefully you miss block or something. So we're going to take 4 no matter what. There, walk there, walk there, walk there. Take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we're just dead, aren't we? And 2 Xaxes. Alright, so we definitely want these meat hooks. Definitely want the rusting pieces. Don't really want things like Skyclave Apparition and Deputy in our deck. Zur is okay-ish, I guess. Thassa isn't probably necessary. Try like this. Well played to our opponent. I mean, they played out the game to the end. I'm sure there was some line we could take differently there. Not giving them back the Mayhem Devil may have been the mistake we made. Yeah, I think we were supposed to sit on what we had, and then we probably won that game quite easily. with a turn 1 Thoughtseize, because it really legitimately doesn't matter. Second Duress, sure. So I have Nixilis coming down. It's kind of whatever as far as damage. I did notably keep Claim the Firstborn in their deck, so... continue this kind of value chain going. Okay, cycle that. Decide to put some counters on it. I'll decide what they want to do. Claim the Firstborn would be my guess. Okay, bring these back. we even cast that right now? No, we couldn't. I mean, we can't. We can cast it, but we can't cast it for value, per se. That goes to 2. And then you're just dead. And our opponent scoops. I think we'll risk this hand. Which is open, sure. Cauldron Familiar, sure. Scan, opponent gets to drain us a little bit, which is fine, because then we just get to resolve Mutant Massacre next turn with Fire's Invention. So. Yep. Take away that. Yeah, Scarab God's bad news for your deck, friend. Bad news. Yeah, shouldn't give them back. They're stupid, leave that in my hand for a turn. Maybe we have some Crocs of protection. Okay, what do I like out of this? Okay, do you have a sacrifice way? Deadly Dispute, Village Rights? Apparently not. Draw a card. Okay. Certainly been a long, grindy affair. Sure. Mm-hmm. Yep, don't want to get punked out randomly, so we're just going to do that. And Planet Scoops. Alright, ready here for match number 3 on the draw. Can't keep the one lander no matter how interesting it looks. This hand's much more interesting. Putting back Basic Island? Question mark. Some type of green deck. Possibly mono green aggro, possibly Gruul. Okay, never mind. Fight rigging. Guess it could also be Elves. Okay, Elves it is. This feels like a kind of a bad matchup. So what is our realistic way to get rid of this? This. We got this. And what does this do? Okay, play this out. Hold that back as a blocker. 4 mana allows us to get Rhino or something. Guess we'll go get the 5 mana play. Double block there. Go to 7. This turn, we would love to draw an untapped land. Okay, that also works. So what land do we not currently have in play? Currently have new browser. Binding that. They get the Defiler back, but we get to Titan here, make a 4/4 against life. It gets to grow their Defiler, which is Preserver, which is cute, but for each. Collected Company. Alright. Chump block that. Play this. Play this. Make another Gobbo. Put this in our hand. No reason to do anything here. Okay, it's +1/+1 counter. Okay. So this goes on that. This goes on that. That there. That goes there. All right. Suiciding some Gobbos to get some more mana. Okay, blank this, blank this. So we have on the 5-mana end here, Scarab God take over the game, and Pastor. What you got, friend? You get to gain a bunch of life. Pass turn. Something ever, yeah, that is reach. Never mind. It's kind of a free suicide attack. Decline. It's possible I was supposed to grab Agent of Treachery, and this game would have been long over, but okay. Shield counter on that. Go ahead and fight that guy. That's like the perfect card to draw here. This will force a chump. And we should have just attacked all, but, you know. C'est la vie. That goes to 3. Okay. And good game. I think that was the tricky game for us. Fry, white or blue. Destiny Spinner. Looks like we want the Meat Hook Massacre. Coma could potentially match them. Don't know that we really want 3 7-drops in our deck, though. Maybe it's better than Agent of Treachery. Version Aether Channeler. Zero could kind of be important, but also not. Let's go down one of these. Glasspool Mimic, maybe shave on one of those perhaps. Knight of Autumn. I could have Shaper Sanctuary, so that could end up being relevant. Maybe Agent of Treachery isn't what we're looking for in this matchup. At the same time it is, so kind of hard to say. And submit. Alright, this hand is slow but fine. Again, most hands against Elves are slow but fine. Turn 1 Llanowar, of course. Opponent with an Elvish War Master into another Elf, sure. We have Trails of Ambition, which look really bad in this, but with Collected Company. Nope, Steel Leaf Champion. Okay. Hit us for 4. Green. We're pretty much dead here. 6, 7, 8, 9. Feels like they're holding up Beseiju. Yeah, it looks like a Beseiju to me. Maybe casting something post-combat, which kind of seems dumb, but... It's funny how much better these are on the draw than on the play. So, moving along. So first, no white mana. Fable into Incarnation. Just don't think that does enough. Alright, I mean, this is basically the same darn hand, but a little bit better. Just to slow them down that tiny bit. Short Master, sure. Alright, draw a card. Trail of Ambition. Leaf Crown Missionary into Dorko. Yay. Okay, do this, into this. I should just sack the... Okay, at least this doesn't tap for mana. Okay, one gets to draw a card, makes another dork. This tapped, put Yorion in our hand. Moon-Blessed Cleric, yes. How's our mana situation? I think we go grab Utah Massacre. We'll play this out to make sure we don't die. Actually, I just blinked this, I think. 2. Guess we'll go with all 3. All right. Oh, I should have blended the land with Urban, whatchamacallit. That would have drawn us another card. That would have been nice. Okay. No reason to attack here. Something else. That certainly qualifies. Sacrifice Leyline and Binding to go get a coma. Sure. Okay, draw. Stabilize the board for now that way. Sure, collected company. Okay. Play. Asunder is kind of a scary magic card. Okay, Clan Color, sure. And the Sentinel, sure. This rebuy Renegade Rallier, rebuy Alright, that'll pretty much wrap up the game. So this block there, block there, block there, block there, block. Actually, so that will deal me 2, seems fun. Equals 2. You gain a bunch of life. Play this out, draw a card. Don't need either of those. Draw a card. Yorion. Into Night Bottom. Gain some life. And we got there. Nice. So doing a quick wrap up with this, you know, as we kind of mentioned, forgot to put my camera back on. But doing the wrap up here, this deck is obviously very powerful against, you know, long game decks, whether it be Rakdos, whether it be Rakdos Sac, whether it be anything short of mono green in a format that obviously doesn't have much mono green. Its problem is the aggressive decks, obviously. You know, there's a lot of interaction with this. You have things like Tolsimir, you have things like Titan to gain a little bit of life. Some of the versions are running things like Oath of Kaya, which is a card you could certainly consider. You know, but I really like a lot of what was going on with this version. You know, obviously I think we got run over by Elves on the play there, which wasn't terribly surprising. But I do really think the 3 copies of Meathook Massacre, while I still don't know if the mana is correct for it, I do think Meathook might actually be a better card than Supreme Verdict for this deck, just because it both plays with the synergy of our Enigmatic Incarnations, gains us a little bit of life against the aggressive decks. And, you know, a lot of the aggressive decks we're going to be looking to do, this is going to be a 2 or 3 mana, or 2 or 3 X equals 2 or 3 Wrath most of the time anyway. So, you know, not too dissimilar from Supreme Verdict, where you're looking for a turn 4, turn 5 Wrath effect. You know, I think I actually forgot to bring in Yasharn against the Sacrifice deck, which is a little bit embarrassing. And we already brought in the Rest in Pieces and the Meathooks. Nimble Larcenist, you know, it's nice to have a disruption effect against control. Destiny Spinner, obviously primarily here for control. We obviously didn't see that matchup. Coma might have been wrong to bring in against Elves, but I just felt like this was a way to kind of maybe stabilize the board just by putting a bunch of bodies on it, more than, you know, stealing one of their random pieces. And then obviously, you know, Deputy of Detention, Skyclave Apparition, you know, just various ways to get rid of their things. Leyline of Binding being clutch in some spots. Overall, this deck rounds out quite nicely, and, you know, deck we did fairly well with in the few games we played with it. I played it a little bit in Best of 1, and I would strongly not recommend it in Best of 1 unless you like heavily slant it towards the aggressive decks while still having enough late game against Rakdos. Maybe if you're going to play this in Best of 1, you might want to consider multiple Meat Massacres in the main deck. There's also that, let's look at what I've been working with, Incarnation Fires. The other card you might want to consider is Archon of Sun's Grace to help with a little bit of lifelink and then putting a bunch of bodies into play. I really haven't toyed with this terribly much, but you're seeing a lot of the same cards. Oath of Kaya a little bit better in Best of 1. Siege Rhino obviously reasonable there. Agent of Treachery is quite a nice card against the mid-range and control decks, just being able to steal all their stuff, but maybe not as good against the aggressive decks. But have a lot of tools to stabilize, but maybe you want a couple more copies of Meat Hook in the main deck just for the Best of 1 meta. But overall, this deck feels very good in the Best of 1 or Best of 3 meta. Okay in the Best of 1 meta. Best of 1, you're seeing a little bit more, linear decks, mono red, mono blue, the Absian Greasefang deck. All the decks that this deck isn't really designed to match up with particularly well, especially in a one-game situation. So this is more of a deck that gets like points for grinding against the other mid-range decks, and also tends to do quite well into like when it can switch up its sideboard plan and bring in things against counter spells, bring in things against graveyard-based strategies, along with interaction for Greasefang, and then Meat Hook Massacre to kind of stem the tide against any type of aggressive deck. This card it may very well get banned in Standard soon, as I know there's a ban announcement the day after I'm recording this, and I would not be surprised if this is a card that gets banned just because of how silly it is, slowing down aggressive decks. And it's a powerful card, and we're already playing an enchantment-based strategy, so why not play it, right? But as always, if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to our channel, giving us a thumbs up, and leaving a constructive comment down below. Maybe let me know what deck you might like to see us play next in Explore here.